Alex Donno's on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. He is one of the foremost Miami Hurricanes experts locally. You can watch him on the Locked On Canes pod. You hear him on this radio station hosting the Hurricanes postgame show. I was telling Donno off the air. I was listening to it last night. It was 1 a.m. I happened to be in the car, and I'm listening to Donno. 1:30 in the morning. I'm in the mood for a big plate of pork for some reason. I don't even eat pork, but the guy can't stop talking about the pork studios or whatever. Who's the studio sponsor?
It's Hatfield. Better care, better pork.
Yeah, better care, better pork. I mean, I'm driving around 1:30. I'm like, man, is there anywhere hoping to get some pork? Because this guy's talking about it. I'm in a good mood because of the Canes. I gotta get myself some pork. So Donno, it got a little dicier at the end than it probably should have, but let's set aside that part for a moment and just say, what an incredible way to start the season. What an incredible victory.
This is the biggest win Mario Cristobal has as Miami Hurricanes head coach. Prior to this one, he had a nice blowout win at Florida last year, had that win against Clemson a couple of years ago. But, I mean, you're going up against the number 6 team in the nation who just played in the national championship game last year. And the most impressive part about it to me, guys, was that Miami was able to really out Notre Dame in a lot of ways. When you think about the way that the Fighting Irish usually win games in the Marcus Freeman era, especially, right? They're usually going to have a big advantage running the football. And all offseason long, all that I heard about was, hey, Jeremiah Love is a projected top 10 pick, and Jadarian Price is incredible. It's the best running back duo in the country. Credit to Miami. They held those two guys to a combined 78 yards. And Miami as a team outrushed Notre Dame 119-93, which a lot of folks outside of South Florida didn't think would happen, that Miami could outrush Notre Dame. Now, of course, down here, we're aware of the offensive line that Mario Cristobal has built and the talent Miami has in the backfield. I mean, Mark Fletcher had an important game from Miami. Jordan Lyle got a little banged up in the game. I think he's going to be okay. And then you had the emergence of Marty Brown, the transfer from North Dakota State, who I thought was probably the best even of the three. He scored the touchdown, picked up those big yards in the third quarter. So Miami outrushed Notre Dame, and they also won the turnover battle. I mean, Notre Dame last year, plus 18 in turnover margin, among the very best in the country, and Miami goes plus 2 in that win. And something that, I expected and I was cautiously optimistic about was clearly having the advantage at quarterback with Carson Beck's experience. And a huge objective for me and for all of us heading into that football game was, not only does Carson need to take care of the football, and he did that, no turnovers, not even any really turnover-worthy throws. I mean, he was just very poised the way he saw the field and got it to his playmakers. And he hit some big throws as well, right? Because you knew you would have to go downfield a little bit to create separation. And, the way 17-year-old receiver Malachi Toney stepped up, 82 yards and a touchdown, leading Miami in receiving. I mean, that's got to be one of the best true freshman receiver debuts of all time, given the opponent and the situation. CJ Daniels had that just unbelievable one-handed grab for a touchdown. And, obviously hockey, you mentioned that the game got a little dicey in the fourth quarter when Miami got very conservative offensively. But I will say credit to the defense for showing up and playing complementary football in a way we didn't see last year. Because if you're in that same situation last season where the offense is getting 3 and outs because they're running up the middle 3 straight times, putting it in the hands of the defense, last year happened time and time again. The defense was going to let you down and allow the game-winning touchdown or game-time field goal, whatever. This time around, they became ferocious, and the defense played well all game, by the way, except for, you had a couple of negative plays. The 62-yard pass that was allowed was a miscommunication, but overall they played really well. And then on that final possession, when you needed Ruben Bain the most, he steps up, Akeem Mesidor steps up, and Bain also had the interception in the game, which was huge. I think this is, and I said it to you guys before the season started, I think this is the most deep and balanced roster that Cristobal has had in Miami, because really everything, offense, defense, and special teams contributed to this win.
Donno, when we talked to you last week to preview the game, whether it was Wednesday or Thursday, I had told you something Joe Zagacki had told us, that this was the most Mario team that he had in Miami. Did you come away yesterday saying Mario has finally built the type of team that he had for years over at Oregon? Whether or not they're going to go win an ACC championship or be in a playoff, we'll find out, right? But as far as him being one of the best recruiters in the nation and him finding those big dudes that are just mesmerizing when they walk off the bus. Like, did you come away from the game yesterday feeling confident that Mario has built this team the way that he needs to go compete with teams like Notre Dame, the top teams in the country?
100%. And again, it's funny because, you know, Miami, and it was JD Piquel from On3 Sports that I said it best, that Miami beat Notre Dame at their own game. But remember, that's Mario Cristobal's game. Like, when it comes to having a team that's going to win on both sides of the line of scrimmage, which Miami did yesterday, and having a team that's going to outlast you and really out-tough you for 4 quarters. And like you said, Solana, literally the size and strength of the players is going to have a lot to do with that. And I think this is the start of what's going to be a monster year for Ruben Bain. I know he had a tough year last year, primarily due to injury. He played through an injury all season long, and he also probably got a little too heavy last year in like the 285, 290 range. Bain is down to 270, and it shows. Like, there was a hot second where I thought he was going to take that interception all the way back for a touchdown. Like, he was moving, but he's still a big guy at 270 with a lot of strength. I thought Miami's defensive tackles did well. You know, Justin Scott, you know, forced a fumble on the first turnover. And, you know, going again, talk about the size. I mean, Miami's top 3 running backs, and you could see how important that power was. I mean, Mark Fletcher is like 6'3", 225. Marty Brown is 5'11", 220, and he's got that really good balance and great center of gravity. You know, Jordan Lyle is up to 205, and he's like the smallest of the backs, but he's still a 205-pound load to tackle. So, yeah, I mean, this is a Mario Cristobal team. But I like the fact that it's not only a Mario Cristobal team, but I think it's a good marriage in terms of a little bit more innovation on offense, because I think Shannon Dawson, you know, his approach really shows the way Mario has evolved. Because in the past, people would think of a Mario offense more of being like a straight up 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of thing. But being able to get the sparks in the passing game as well, with Dawson, who's not a pure air raid guy, but he comes from that air raid coaching tree, I think is a really good complement to kind of the traditional Mario Cristobal style. And yeah, I said it before the game, and I'll say it again. Obviously, Cam Ward was one of the best individual players we've ever watched at Miami, but I think this team can overall be better than the team last year.
I think a lot of people had that feeling after yesterday, which was weird because I don't think we expected to have that feeling. Now, I know it's just one game. We're all high on it. Could have easily gone another way, by the way, the epic collapse. But we come out of there with the W over a higher ranked team and looked good while doing it. So there's hubbub about this team nationally after 1 week. There was a tweet from Pat McAfee watching the game, and he says, "I've only seen 4 quarters. We're currently 45 minutes away from September starting." Obviously, this was like right at the end of the game last night. But congrats to Miami on making the college football playoffs. That was his take after watching one game. What do we do with this, Donno? We need to see a lot more, or are we feeling inordinately confident about what we're seeing based on last night?
I mean, I know that what McAfee said is the last thing Mario Cristobal wants his team thinking about. I can tell you that he doesn't want that talk trickling into the facility, because he does not want his guys to let up. And listen, again, like it wasn't perfect. I mean, they got very conservative in the fourth quarter. The game got dicey, but I mean, it's hard to be perfect, especially against an opponent like Notre Dame. And it's that could end up being the toughest opponent Miami has all year. Florida State looked good against Alabama, obviously, and you got them on the schedule. USF looks surprisingly good against
Isn't that
Boise
setting
State
up?
on Thursday
Solana
night.
and I were talking about, isn't that setting up to be a huge trap game? Don't you feel like that
Yeah.
USF game week 3
Well,
is such
and
a
they've
trap
got
game?
Florida right before they play us. Like credit to USF for playing a big boy schedule. They played 25th ranked Boise State. Then they're playing 15th ranked. Will probably be ranked higher when they face them, Florida, and then Miami, who's going to be probably in the top 5. That's the way USF starts their season. So yeah, listen, I think my message would be, more of that. If they keep that same mentality and they keep playing the way that they played on Sunday night. This should be a college football playoff team, especially now that they've already collected a dub in, on paper, what might be the toughest game they play all year. But I'm not going to get complacent, as a fan of the team and somebody who covers the team, because I also understand that last year this team started 9-0 and they still managed to miss the college football playoff. So it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, and that's what they need to find consistency. You hope you have good luck on an injury front, of course, but I also think Cristobal has done a good job with the way he's recruited and done the transfer portal. That this is a deep football team, but still, you want to avoid serious injury as much as possible if you're going to have an opportunity, and just you can't let up mentally, because what happened specifically against Syracuse last year, that was inexcusable.
Right.
They never should have blown that 21-0 lead. So I'm not going to get complacent, guys. I mean, the eye test obviously tells you Miami should be one of the top 12 teams in the country for the rest of the season, but they have 11 more opportunities to earn that.
What's funny is there's this stretch where you play USF, Florida, and then you're on the road at FSU. But what scares me more than anything, Donno, on this schedule, just because we're all Hurricanes fans who have lived in this ACC era, is the Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State stretch. And then good luck, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh to close out the season. Like, get through your ACC schedule. Losing to FSU on the road isn't going to keep you out of the college football playoff. Losing to those teams will. But really quickly, Donno, I think the big question with Carson Beck, aside from how's he going to look, is he going to look composed? He proved that. Who's he going to throw the ball to? Who's he going to trust more than anything in a big-time play? And Malachi Toney stepped up. CJ Daniels had that top 10 catch, maybe catch of the year contention already. But did you feel like he already established the guys that he's going to feel comfortable with in those big-time moments? Or do you still think, there's other guys who we didn't really see too much of yesterday that could still step up on that level?
I do feel that way to the latter part of your point, because there were a couple times when he was really close to connecting with JoJo Trader, and he was really draped by Notre Dame's cornerbacks who are really good, Leonard Moore and Christian Gray. These guys will be playing on Sundays probably next year. I expect we're going to see more. We're going to see a lot more of JoJo Trader, and I also. One thing that did surprise me, and I'm not going to complain after a victory, but only one catch for Elijah Lofton. I thought that was a surprise, because when I was thinking about all my keys to the game pregame, one of my big keys was, Elijah Lofton could be a difference maker just because he's so versatile. You don't know where he's going to line up, so he's hard to cover. He's hard for defensive coordinators to account for, because you don't really know where he's going to be. I'm sure if I were to go back and watch every offensive rep, I'll probably notice some things like, wow, an incredible block. I didn't notice he did this, that, and the other. But as a receiver, he was not a big part of that game yesterday. So I expect more of that moving forward. And I do think you're going to see a little more. You're going to see more guys on the receiving core hitting the stat sheet. But you clearly saw separation, like Malachi Toney. And if you see some of those double moves that he was running, that's a guy you're going to be able to trust for the next 3 years, hopefully 4 years, but the next 3 years to be consistently getting open. And CJ Daniels is obviously a trustworthy target, but I do think we're going to see more once you start going up against defenses that aren't as good as the one you faced yesterday.
True or false? Malachi Toney, best college football performance of a player still young enough to get the free cookie at Publix.
I gotta say true. And
right?
Somebody, I don't have the stat in front of me, but somebody sent me something on X yesterday that reminding that Malachi Toney had a bigger and better freshman debut than Jeremiah Smith had last year, and that Ryan Williams at Alabama had. So I mean, so far so good. I'm not necessarily saying
he's on the
gonna
map
be better than
nationally
those
after
guys.
last night. He is on the map
Yeah.
nationally
He is.
after last
Yeah,
night.
and you saw everybody was tweeting. I mean, Antonio Brown was tweeting
Saw Michael
about
Irvin
him.
on the sideline. I mean,
Yeah.
it was incredible.
Yeah.
Alex Donno, check out Locked On Canes podcast. Listen to Donno all season long on the postgame. Aperol Spritz on me tonight, Donno.
Thank you. And I did have one earlier this weekend, so I'll have to double it up. I'll send you
Drink
the
of the
bill.
summer. Is it still, I guess, after Labor Day? Is it still summer? Are we
I'll be drinking them in January, so
me too. There's never not a right time for an Aperol Spritz. All right. See you, Donno.
see ya.